we welcome our own Dr. Brian Huseman. Brian is the Ag Authority Manager of Regulatory Services in Animal Agriculture. Brian's going to address how to match the expectations to realistic timelines. Brian focuses on continuing to expand regulatory and developing business within the animal health sector, and he has owned regulatory consultancy since 2018 after 10 years as Vice President and Director of Regulatory Affairs at Seva Bimune. He also spent 13 years in regulatory roles at Intervet and Schurling-Plough, among others. He received his Doctor of Veterinary Medicine and Master of Science in Surgery and Medicine from Kansas State University. Please help me welcome Brian Huseman.
Hello, I'm Dr. Brian Huseman, Manager of Regulatory Services in Animal Agriculture for Ag Authority, headquartered in Kansas City, Missouri, USA. It's a pleasure being here at the second Exceed the Seed 2020-2021 event. Today we're discussing matching expectations to realistic timelines as we move innovations in either the crop or animal health industries to market. We'll also specifically look at the regulatory considerations and the timelines for import and export to government regulations. Research generates new, innovative ideas, but to transform a great idea into a great product, a solid and rigorous product development process is critical. Where new products often fail is in the lack of planning for product development. Depending upon the technology and proposed markets, the pathway and timelines towards commercialization will vary. Planning is a responsive and dynamic action that brings focus to uncertainty. The absence of product development planning with all of the components often leads to a rushed or poorly executed in the critical development steps. Let's consider these steps that require discipline and focus, but in a responsive and dynamic way. At Ag Authority, we apply our prescriptive response development process to help move innovations to the market. Technologies in agriculture, whether they're animal or plant-based, don't just go from the lab to adoption by producers. The learning process extends from your discovery through early and late development all the way to the product launch and beyond. It is the accumulation of necessary knowledge to move through the development stages. You'll notice regulatory is happening simultaneously alongside scoping, early development and late development. It can be very intensive and a lengthy process and should be planned for accordingly. Through our extensive global network, we can support the strategic planning as well as the implementation. We offer to guide our clients through the regulatory mazes and offer realistic timelines according to the state, regional, and national laws. Starting with scoping and early development, we're answering questions and gathering background information to be prepared. This isn't a stage that should be rushed through. This is the foundation of the product, and realistically, this is where the product regulations start. Defining the regulatory requirements, whether it be USDA, FDA, or EPA in the US, or similar agencies in other target countries. What's the level of proof required and the mandatory elements for registration? What type of studies will be required? What's the timeline look like for the reviews and the approvals? In many instances, the regulatory process is the time-defining component and the limiting factor. So all of the other steps must be organized around it. All those questions should be addressed through a few well-designed studies conducted in a very controlled environment. Many treatments in a few locations for crops or testing animal products in the lab for specific use. The goal for early development is to reduce the number of variables around your product concept, making sure the potential labeling usage is robust enough to face the challenges and variability of the labeled usage and the species. This stage of the process can take months or even years with many variables to consider. When ready, the product can move into late development to be tested in an increased number of environments for plants or in clinical trials for animals. In this stage, the new technology is now formulated with dosage or use rates and ready for increased exposure in real situations or environments. This stage is testing the predicted final label for the best performance management. Make sure it works and how it works best. During this stage, getting producers' experiences within the regulatory guidelines, of course, can move the product closer to adoption. Producers listen to other producers. When technically ready, the product also must have the regulatory freedom to operate with a clear go-to-market strategy. Planning for a successful launch requires many elements to come together. The regulatory process starts in the scoping stage and moves along in parallel to scoping, early development and late development, just as for product formulation, rate and best uses are defined. Even more important with new technologies is the learning and evolving the technical with the regulatory parameters. Regulatory planning is not the last step of the development process, but getting the label approved provides the freedom to operate to do large-scale trialing necessary before launch. In closing, as you may know, I don't have all the answers, but I do know the timelines for technology development vary greatly, especially when regulatory requirements are evolving. But our recommendation is to define a rigorous development process and proceed with discipline. At AgriAuthority, we listen, we lead, and we deliver through extensive development capabilities around the world. We customize our product, market or development services to fit the client's needs and market demands around the globe. Above all, our goal is success for our clients. Thank you for your time today, and please contact us if you would like to discuss further.